میرا سہارا عباس، خلق تو ہو گیا میں ہو گیا تنہا عباس، لوٹ کر آئے گا دریا سے تو آخر کب تک، لوٹ کر آئے گا دریا سے تو آخر کب تک، منتظر خیمے کے در پر ہے سکینہ عباس، کوئی بھی اب نہ رہا میرا سہارا عباس، ہے یہ انداز جب تیری علمداری کا، ہے یہ انداز جب تیری علمداری کا، ہاتھ کٹوا کے علم کو کیا اونچا عباس، کوئی بھی اب نہ رہا میرا سہارا عباس، تو نے وہ کام کیا جس کی نہیں کوئی مثال، تو نے وہ کام کیا جس کی نہیں کوئی مثال، نہر سے کوئی بھی پیاسا نہیں لوٹا عباس، کوئی بھی اب نہ رہا میرا سہارا عباس، ہو کے بھائی بھی پکارا نہیں بھائی مجھ کو، ہو کے بھائی بھی پکارا نہیں بھائی مجھ کو، زندگی بھر مجھے تو نے کہا خواہ عباس، زندگی بھر مجھے تو نے کہا خواہ عباس، کوئی بھی اب نہ رہا میرا سہارا عباس، پانی پہنچا نہ خیام شاہدی تک لیکن، پانی پہنچا نہ خیام شاہدی تک لیکن، تجھ کو سب کہتے ہیں سخا اے سکینہ عباس، کوئی بھی اب نہ رہا میرا سہارا عباس، لاش عباس تڑپ جاتی تھی مقتل میں سعید، لاش عباس تڑپ جاتی تھی مقتل میں سعید، رو کے جب کہتے تھے سرور میرے بھیا عباس، کوئی بھی اب نہ رہا میرا سہارا عباس، ختم تو ہو گیا میں ہو گیا تنہا عباس، صلوات
صلوات۔ اسلام کا شباب ہے عباس کا نام، ایک زور بو تراب ہے عباس کا علام، اسلام کی حیات ہے عباس کی وفا، اور روح انقلاب ہے عباس کا علام، اور روح انقلاب ہے عباس کا علام۔ کیا پوچھتے ہو مجھ سے بلا عظمت علام، ہر رخ سے جواب ہے عباس کا علام۔ مشق سکینہ صرف نشانی تھی پیاس کی، بچوں کا اضطراب ہے عباس کا علام، بچوں کا اضطراب ہے عباس کا علام۔ ہر دور کے یزید تجھے یہ پتہ نہیں، تحریک انقلاب ہے عباس کا علام، تحریک انقلاب ہے عباس کا علام۔ کرب و بلا سے تابا ابد دیر میں اثار، کرب و بلا سے تابا ابد دیر میں اثار، ہر ظلم کا جواب ہے عباس کا علام، ہر ظلم کا جواب ہے عباس کا علام۔ مشق سکینہ صرف نشانی تھی پیاس کی، بچوں کا اضطراب ہے عباس کا علام، اسلام کا جواب ہے۔
پر محمد وآل محمد صلوات۔ We will be starting the program just shortly. Please hold tight. Salawat.
پر محمد وآل محمد صلوات. بار دیگر صلوات. جب ردا سر سے چھنی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ آیا غازی. جب ردا سے چھنی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ آیا غازی. آل عمران کہاں اور زندان کہاں یہ بہن قید ہوئی تو نہ آیا غازی. ہم کو پانی نہ ملے تیری خوشبو تو رہے تیرے بازو نہ کٹے چاہے مشکی زچ دے یہ مگر ہو نہ سکا تیرے بازو ہے جدا مجھ پہ ہے تشنہ لبی تو نہ آیا غازی. آ گئی شام علم لٹ گئے اہل حرم ریت پر جلتی ہوئی ہو گیا ٹھنڈا علم. پرسہ دینے کے لیے مجھ سے ملنے کے لیے آ گئے بابا علی تو نہ آیا غازی. کیا کہوں شعر میرے بیردا ہم کو لیے یہ مسلمان سارے شہر در شہر گئے خلقت کوفہ کبھی خلقت شام کبھی اور ہاں ہم پہ ہنسی تو نہ آیا غازی. جب ردا سے چھنی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ آیا غازی. آل عمران کہاں اور زندان کہاں یہ بہن قید ہوئی تو نہ آیا غازی. جب ردا سے چھنی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ آیا गाजी और मोहम्मद वाल मोहम्मद सलावत.
Bear with me for quick announcements. Tonight, Alame Hazrat Abbas alayhi salam will be taken out after the English Majlis. So, then it will be sent downstairs in the ladies' old building, in the ladies' hall in the old building for ziyarat. Tomorrow night, we will have the Tabut Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salam after the English Majlis. It goes same, it will be sent downstairs in the old building for ladies for ziyarat. Urdu program ziyarat schedule will stay intact as it's been announced before. Tabarruk will be served both after the English and the Urdu majalis. Streaming will also be doing the streaming in the newer hall for Maulana Ali Abbas Rizvi, and Urdu Majlis will start right after Maulana Ali Abbas Rizvi will finish his speech. For Muhammad Wali Muhammad Salawat. Tonight during the Majlis, we'll take a pause for 5 minutes to do our annual donation drive. We're looking forward for your generous donation to cover the expenses incurred during the Ayyam-e-Adha. So we'll just take maybe 5 minutes during the Majlis with Maulana's permission. Day of Ashura schedule is very packed. It will start at 4:20 a.m. with Majlis-e-Azan Ali Akbar. It will go all the way to Sham-e-Ghariba, starting with Namaz-e-Maghriban at 7 p.m. Without any further ado, I'll request Maulana Sayyid Ali Abbas Rizvi to the member. With the same setup, please, adults on the stage and children with the adult supervision. For Muhammad Wali Muhammad Salawat.
If I can invite all of you to just come forward. If we could recite a salawat, please. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أما بعد قال الله الحكيم في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإن من شيئته لإبراهيم صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
Our series of discussions are slowly coming to an end now. It's amazing how... Risala salawat, please. One more salawat, please. Have one more salawat, please. Let's have one more salawat, please. 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 Please just have one more salawat, please. I just request some of the brothers at the back, if you are coming in, then please just come in quickly, because it's disturbing the rest of the brothers. Just say salawat, please. Have one more salawat, please. For all the brothers who are just at the back, if you come to the front, so, last night 3 halls filled up and then people were standing outside. So that in 20 minutes when it does fill up, if you guys who are over the age of 18, if you can come all the way to the front, please. Let's add another salawat, please. One more salawat, please. She was saying that these nights are slowly leaving us. It feels like we're visitors in these nights. We start off with the moon of Muharram coming. And there's an anticipation that for many weeks we've been waiting for that to come. And what's amazing is that how we begin to feel. On the one hand, you feel sadness, but the other hand, you feel happiness. It's almost that there's a connection there with Sayyid al-Shuhada that these 10 nights bring about. And as these nights begin to go, night after night, night after night, it's as if there's a heavy feeling that falls upon the heart of the believer. The last 3 nights are very critical, especially for those people who truly want to understand the message and the movement of Hussein. A foundation was laid in Karbala. That foundation starts in Karbala, but the caravan ends with the coming of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. It is an evolution that takes place, a movement that takes place. Those companions that Sayyid al-Shuhada had, no one has had those type of companions. From the beginning of time, from Adam to Khatam, nor did our Prophet have those companions, nor did Amir al-Mu'mineen have those companions, nor did Imam Hassan have those companions. But the tradition says, it says the only other person who will have those companions is your master who is willing to come, waiting to come, about to come. This is why they say train your youth. Train your youth with akhlaq. Train your youth with morality. Train your youth with education. The reason being is this, that the movement of the 12th Imam, according to the riwayat, is not a movement of elders, it's a movement of youth. It's a movement of youth. You know why? You don't know who's sitting here. Maybe that 5-year-old boy in front of me, 7-year-old boy in front of me, he's the next Malik al-Ashtar. You don't know it. Allah hides these people for the day to come. Well, then they show their colors that this is Malik. This is why when people ask, they say, well, we've got hundreds of ayatullahs. How comes the Zuhur of the Imam doesn't come? Allah doesn't want hundreds of ayatullahs. Allah wants one Salman. He wants one Abu Dhar. He wants one Miqdad. He wants one Ammar. These are the people that need to come forward. These are the people who are being cultivated at the moment. The biggest responsibility at this moment for anyone is the mothers. Why? Because the first university of any child is the cradle of the mother. This is why we say, educate your daughters in the best possible way. Go against what happened 100 years ago, when people refuse to educate women. The empowerment of women is important. Had it not been for women, Karbala wouldn't have taken place. Right? Why do you think that Imam Hussein waits until the time he does to leave towards Karbala? Shall I tell you why? It is mustahab for a baby that for 7 days that baby doesn't come out. On the 7th day when Ali Asghar was born, after he was born, then Imam Hussein said, now let's go. Meticulously he waited for every individual to come. And every individual came in the time that they came. Amir al-Mu'mineen's dua, Imam Hassan's patience, Imam Hussein's patience, waiting for that moment when the 72 were complete. When were they complete? When a baby came in the world, 7 days old. Imam says the sunnah has been completed. He says, now let's go towards Karbala. Look at the meticulous nature of the Imam. Your Imam, this living Imam is like that as well. He waits meticulously for that time when this child or that child or that child grows. This is why. Movement of the Imam is what? Movement of the Imam is a movement of the heart. If you look at Salman, if you look at Abu Dhar, if you look at Miqdad, what is the one quality that they had above everything else? They weren't barbarians. You look at your Imam, you think of the way that we describe our Imam sometimes, come, sword, this, that, the other. It's not the way of the Imam. The actual way of the Imam is the way of the Imam which changes hearts of the people. The actual way of the Imam is the way that the Imam changes the what? The being of an individual. He brings hearts down to his feet. That's how it is. This is why they say that the first people who are going to come to the Imam don't necessarily need to be Muslims. Remember, the entire world is waiting for a Messiah to come. Look in Judaism today. Look at the way that they're waiting for the Anointed One to come. Look at Christians today. Look at the feeling of the Messianic era that's been predicted. We as Shias are different from any other denomination in Islam. And the reason being is this, that we do not believe in death and destruction that needs to take place. We don't believe in these apocalyptic traditions to take place. We are those people who believe in truth and justice that needs to take place. But more importantly, truth and justice with love needs to take place. You know, remember, if you want to change the hearts of people, if you want to bring people towards truth, and if you want to bring people towards justice, you know the biggest problem today is? The biggest problem today is the akhlaq of people, the morality of people, right? That's what needs to change. When that morality changes, then everything else changes. The first step for morality to change, as we said in the last couple of nights, is when you begin to look through the lens of someone else. Remember, what else did we say? We gave a hadith. There were two qualities to that hadith. One quality is this, silat al-raham. If you truly believe that you are a follower of your Imam, then the first thing you need to do is to sort out the affairs that you have with your people, with your family, with your parents. Whether you're Muslim, whether you're non-Muslim. Whether your mother is a Muslim, whether your mother is a kafir. Whether your mother is so-and-so, whether your mother is so. It doesn't make a difference. The fact of the matter is this, whether your mother and father are good people or bad people, in your opinion, you have a responsibility first and foremost as Shias of the Imam to do Silat al-Rahim. Go out there, spread your hand towards them and make sure you show them love and affection. That's what's most important. Now today ask yourself the question, how many Shias sitting in here have good relationship with their brothers? How many Shias sitting here have good relationships with their children? You know what happens? As a father you say, arrogantly, well, my son should come to me and say salam. Do you know if you have that mind frame, what happens? 40 years will go by and you and your son will be separated. You will be suffering, he will be suffering. You will be in depression, he will be in depression. You know there's three things that happen when a person cuts contact with their mother, their father, their children, or their brothers and sisters. First thing, they fall into depression. Depression takes place, peace of the heart goes. This is why, you know, adhab of Allah. People talk about the fact that, oh, in the time of Musa, in the time of Isa, adhab of Allah came down. 7 plagues came down. This happened, that happened. In this day and age, how comes there's no adhab? Shall I tell you something, brothers? The biggest adhab is when the peace of the heart goes. Even in that plague, Bani Israel were happy because Musa was there. Even in trial and tribulation, people still knew that Nuh is there, Adam is there, your prophets are there, Yaqub is there, Yusuf is there. But today, when the peace of the heart goes, then what's going to happen? The biggest trial and tribulation for any human being is when the peace of the heart goes. When you feel depressed, when you don't know which direction to turn to. Ask yourself a question. Most of the time is self-inflicted. So the first thing that we need to do as followers of the Ahlul Bayt is what? Silat al-Rahim. Make sure that you're responsible human beings, that you're working hard for your parents, for your family. Second thing is this though, as we've mentioned, the idea that take care of your neighbor. You live in a country where your neighbor could be green, blue, black, yellow, different languages, different colors. What is your responsibility? And I say this for a reason. Your responsibility is not to look at religion, not to look at race, not to look at culture. But the fact is this, your responsibility is to take care of whoever your neighbor is, regardless of what they are, regardless of which color they are. Today, when we live in the West, we have a responsibility to do outreach work. Let me ask you a question. How many Hindus have come into your center? How many Jews have come into your center? I'm sure many have come into your center, but there are many other centers across the world where no Hindu comes, where no Jew comes, where no Christian comes, where no atheist comes. When it's our responsibility to spread this message of Hussein from outside of these four walls or to take it outside. How are you going to take that message outside? The only way you can take it outside is if you open your doors up to say, come and see, we're very open, come and look at what we do. But you know what we say? We say, no, najis and this and that and the other. If Rasulullah thought like that, you wouldn't find people coming into the mosque. Have you not heard of the story? When the Arab come in, starts urinating in the corner of the mosque, Masjid al-Nabawi, Sahabas are willing to just take him out. And Rasulullah says, look, leave him. He doesn't know. Man stops, says, we can clean it up. We can make it tahir. He's urinating, fine, we can make it tahir. But you know what? The most important thing is to treat a person with good akhlaq. That person changed. Why? Akhlaq of the Prophet. Now I'm not saying call a bunch of people in so that they can urinate in your center. It's not the case. What I'm saying though is look at the patience of the Prophet. The patience of the Prophet was such. Today what do we do? Right? What do we do? When somebody goes against our ideology, we badmouth them. You're seeing it. There's nothing hidden to you. Your WhatsApp, every day I guarantee you there must be a WhatsApp badmouthing somebody else. The person who's badmouthing, right, can I ask them a question? Are you enemies of Islam or are you friends of Islam? Because only an enemy of Islam will slander a badmouth someone to push them away. Amr bil ma'ruf doesn't mean you push somebody away. Amr bil ma'ruf means what? You show people with love and you bring them back. When people call other people names and they call them this person is this and this person is that and this guy is this and this guy is that, what are you effectively doing? You're effectively pushing people away from the deen. You're effectively pushing. If you think that you're right and that person is wrong, if somebody swears at you, what are you going to do? You're never going to speak to him. You're going to turn your face away from him. So what have you done? If you believe you have the truth, then your akhlaq should be such that reflects the truth. You should never be a person who ever badmouths somebody. Imam Hussein goes to Karbala. You don't see him slandering Yazid. You don't see him badmouthing Yazid. You don't see him swearing at Yazid. You don't see him saying Yazid's an agent. But some of us Shia, we believe that we have a license to tu'ma. We believe we have a license to ghiba. Think we have a license. Why? Because what I think is right. Believe me, if you think you're right, ulama in the past have had different opinions as well. But their intellectual differences never became dhati. Today your intellectual differences on taqleed and other issues are becoming dhati. He's a fulan, she's a fulan, he's a fulan. Did you ever see Allama Hilli do that? Allama Majlisi was an akhbari. He was in a time when there were other scholars there as well. In the Safavi period, you had akhbaris, you had Asuli sitting together, eating together. There was no issue. Their problem was with what? Intellectual difference, but it doesn't mean you bring it out and start fighting with one another. Sahib Hidaik, what is he? Akhbari. If you go to the Bath, we used to go to the Bath al-Kharaj of Ayatollah Tabrizi. Most of his lessons at one stage was from Sahib Hidaik, referencing him. Akhbari. Go and look at your biggest book, one of the biggest books in the second part, Wasa'il al-Shia, Khura Amali, Akhbari. So what? Ayatollah Khuy Usuli. So what? What difference does it make? It's an intellectual discussion. It's for the ulama. You don't get involved in it. You don't know the alif of sarf and nahv yet. Ulama sit there. They discuss with one another. They talk to one another. The biggest problem are the followers of the ulama and the maraja. They think they're holier than thou. Whenever you go to any marja, he gives respect to the other marja. Right? One of the brothers was telling me when he opened up an orphanage in Najaf, he went to Ayatollah Sistani. He said, Agha, we'll open up an orphanage in Najaf. He said, you're not an Iraqi. Where'd you get the permission from? He replied, he said, Sheikh Bashir gave it to me. He said to me, Ayatollah Sistani puts his hand on his head and says, my brother has given you this orphanage. Right? My brother. That's the marjayyat. Whether they have ikhtilaf in other or whatever it may be, the fact is this, they believe that each other is brother. Today, we need to do the same thing. We need to make sure we may have a difference, but today we are brothers. Brothers may have problems, but the biggest thing is this: brothers need to sit down together and eat together. Learn something from Ibrahim alayhi salam. Learn something from your brothers, the Jewish people, when they sit down on Sabbath. Regardless of what problem they have as a family, they sit down and they eat together. That's profound. Take those things which are sunnah to Ibrahimi. Why? Because we're also part of the Abrahamic faiths. Your prophet teaches more than that. What does your prophet say? He says, eat together. He says, travel together. He says, live together. You may have problems with one another, but be the first to go and give salam and be the first to reconcile. Put your egos to one side. Otherwise, these are the problems that are seeing you. Do you think any of your Maraja want you to be fighting? What did Ayatollah Sistani say last year? What did he say? Look at his statements. He's asking for you guys to resolve your differences. Your Marja doesn't need to do that. Your Marja has more responsibility on his shoulders than to ask you to reconcile your differences. As the followers of the Ahlul Bayt, what do we need to do? We love those people who love the Ahlul Bayt. So what does that mean? That means if anyone here calls themselves a follower of the Ahlul Bayt, if we have an ikhtilaf with them, we should remove negativity from their heart for the sake of the Ahlul Bayt. Right? That's something that we need to do. This is the only way we can change. People say that we don't feel a connection when we go to the haram of the Imam. Obviously you're not going to feel a connection. You've got bughd against 100 other people. Amir al-Mu'mineen is saying to you, remove the bughd. You're saying, Mawla, but I've been wronged. What makes you special from anybody else? We talk about it, right? We say to our people, you should remove negativity. But when it comes to you, say, but no, my case is different. Because why is your case different? What makes you different? All of our cases are the same. So let's remove it. It's not that difficult. You know why? When you're doing it for a higher presence, you know the higher presence is going to reward you. If tomorrow you turn around and you say, for the sake of Zahra alayhi salam, because I know she wants it, because I know that she wants me to remove all that negativity in my heart. If you were to do that tomorrow and just say salam to somebody, do you honestly think that she's not going to reward you? Do you honestly think that her happiness is not there? Her happiness is there. She's going to reward us. She's going to bless us. What is the first stage though? First stage is this. Remove your own negativity. Look, you know what the tradition says? It says that there are 5 signs to a human being. Hadith I was looking at today. There are 5 signs, regardless of whether they're kafir or Muslim. If they have these 5 signs, Allah will bless them. Allah will bless them. You know the first one is? Look at it and see. Good akhlaq. Good akhlaq is something that Allah will reward. I'll give you a story. Qarun, heard of him, right? Allah didn't punish him in this world for a very long time. Qarun. One hadith says the reason why I didn't do it. Look at the hadith. He says one day Qarun was going through an area. He wanted to check up on Yunus. At that stage, Yunus had been eaten by the whale. In the stomach of the whale, Yunus is reciting tasbih. Now, Qarun was a man who was also pumped with ulum al-ghariba. Remember, all of these guys who have gone off the track, if you look at some of the traditions, Namrud, Fir'aun, they were not ordinary people. Namrud believed in Tawheed. Fir'aun believed in Tawheed. The difference was this. That's what makes him even worse. You have many tyrants in the world. But the fact is, the biggest tyrant is the one who had some level of understanding and then he went. Why does Shaitan commit one deed and he goes into this direction? Shaitan commits one deed because he had a level of knowledge. He was raised. In the same way, if you look at the power of Namrud, Namrud had power. If you look at him, he was performing magic, so to speak. Look at Fir'aun. Look at these individuals. In the time of the Bani Israel, there were people who had a particular understanding. Why did they become what they became? Because remember, when a person gets to a level and then he falls harder. Person's an idiot, doesn't make a difference. Tomorrow he repents, that's fine. His intellect was this big. But if a person's intellect is like that and he's using it for wrong, this is why they say, when an alim is corrupted, the entire nation becomes corrupted. And then when Allah takes his revenge on that alim, then there's nobody who can stop it. Why is that? Why is that? Because he's come to an understanding. Right? Qarun says to one of his muwakkils, he says, take me to Yunus. He says, fine, a muwakkil takes him. Takes him into the belly. He asks him a question. Question is asked about who? Musa and Harun and Yusha, right? Qarun's going there and just meeting him and building that, Allah delayed his trials and tribulations coming upon him. Delayed it. Remember, if it can be done on a person, look at it and see, there's a cause and effect in this world. There's a cause and effect. Many other time in history you find that people are not the very best of people, but Allah delays punishment. The reason being is because He likes a particular action of theirs. One of those actions is, as we said, Salat al-Rahim, thy neighbor. But remember, there are 5 qualities. One of them is what? Ghaira. When a person has ghaira, Allah likes that. There's an honor there. Honor there. Ghaira doesn't mean arrogance, by the way. People take it as arrogance. Ghaira means there's an honor. I'll give you an example. You see somebody's wife walking. You have a ghaira there. What do? You give her the respect. You give her the protocol. Put your head down. You make sure that she's okay. Somebody's mother is walking there. Treat her as your mother. Whether they're Muslim or Christian or Jew, doesn't make a difference. You help them cross the road. They've got something in their hand. They can't carry it properly. You help them carry it properly. Why? This is ghaira. Right? This is part of ghaira. Ghaira also is what? Part of ghaira means that you're very, very, you show that ghaira, that honor when it comes to the Ahlul Bayt. When it comes to what the Ahlul Bayt say, there's a ghaira that's implemented. Tonight is the night of Abul Fadl Abbas, right? You can't have more ghaira than Abbas. At least take a lesson back from him. Take a lesson back from him. One of them is ghaira. One of them is having good akhlaq. What does good akhlaq mean? Good akhlaq doesn't mean being fake with people. Maybe people shake hands, smile, and they kiss each other on the cheeks. But then after that, the ghiba that takes place, the negativity that takes place. I remember a great mystic by the name of Ayatollah Langrudi. I spent time with him myself, so I knew him in this way. I was very young then, but I spent time with him. One of the beauty of this man was, he's passed away now, but the beauty of this man died in 2006. One brother died in November 2005, the other one I think in February or March 2006. One of the beauties of this man was that even if a person insulted him, the minute that man left, he never spoke about anyone who left, whether positively or negatively. And when he asked the question, why not positively? The reply is very simple. We start talking about somebody positively for 1 minute, then for the next 30 minutes you butcher him. It happens. So what is our responsibility then? Our responsibility is very simple. Akhlaq. Akhlaq means you attract people to yourself. What is the purpose of the Prophet? Ask yourself. Ibrahim teaches us monotheism. Ibrahim taught us monotheism, Tawheed. Musa gave us Sharia. 90% of our Sharia is the same as the Sharia of Musa. Right? Isa taught us spirituality. What's the purpose then of our Prophet? Question can be asked. What is the purpose when everything else is there? Answer is very simple. The Prophet says, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. Purpose of that is what? Akhlaq is what makes you perfect, refines you. Human being without akhlaq is an animal. Akhlaq of a human being takes him to the Mi'raj. What does it mean by polishing? What is makaram al-akhlaq? What is Imam Zain al-Abidin teaching you? Right? He's teaching you become like Majad Amir al-Mu'mineen. Walk on the line of Majad Rasulullah. Why? What is it? Akhlaq is what? Akhlaq is the names of Allah that you're shining in your own self. I'll give you an example. Allah is compassionate. Islam tells you to be compassionate. Allah is loving. Islam tells you to be loving. What are these names? Rahman, Rahim, Kareem, Rauf. All of these names. Allah wants you to enact all of these names in your daily life. Enact all of these names. Why? And you can maybe enact 2 or 3 names. But you find when Amir al-Mu'mineen enacts them, he enacts all of the names of Allah. Ahlul Bayt enact all of the names of Allah. So look, so what's the first thing? First thing is the ghaira. Second thing is good akhlaq. But what else is important? Man should be courageous. Human beings need to be courageous. What does courage mean? Courage doesn't mean you just jump off a cliff. What does courageous mean? You know the biggest courage? I'll tell you the biggest courage. In the face of sin, you're able to close your eyes. That is a man who's courageous. That is a man who's courageous. And Allah gives byproduct to people like that. You think for every action that you do, there's not a reaction? I'll give you a story. Somebody asked me a question today, tell us about dream interpretation. I said, look, why don't you do it yourself so you can interpret dreams yourself? 3 things. Look at it and see. 3 things. If you can do these 3 things, you yourself will be able to interpret from alam roya, whatever you want to. You know what the first thing is? First condition for a person to be able to interpret dreams, 100% is what? Truthfulness. Don't ever lie. Don't ever lie. One of the qualities of the 5 qualities that we're talking about is don't lie. They say a person who has the quality that they don't lie, they're truthful, regardless of who they are, Allah will bless them, whether they're Muslim or not. But the sign of a mu'min is that in the time when they're fearing something, they're truthful. Takes it that step forward. In the time when they're fearing, then they're truthful. Right? In the time when they're fearing, they don't turn their back on Amir al-Mu'mineen. It's very simple to say, I love you, until there's a problem. Then we see what your color is. Right? So one of those things, according to our traditions, on dream interpret. I was asked the question, the brother's here, I'm answering it. One thing is this, truthfulness. Byproduct of truthfulness is that. You know the second thing is? Second thing is this, when you are tested with something like an indecency. I remember one of my teachers would say, he says, how did Ibn Sirin and other people like that develop the power to be able to tell and interpret alim roya? It was when there's an indecency which is there. Let's say, for example, somebody wants to commit zina with you, and you turn your back when you walk away. That Allah gives jaza for. Second thing. You know what the third thing is? Third thing is as follows. Then they say the third condition, the third criteria is this, to recite Surah Yusuf. If a person recites that on a daily basis, and you know, our women are very good at that, especially when they're giving birth, they recite it. Carry it on in your life. You'll see eventually it becomes a malika. When it becomes a malika, when these 3 things are there, you yourself don't need to go into any book or ask any alim. The minute that you see it, you'll be able to interpret it. Do you ever think about how the likes of Ayatollah Grami do istikhara? I remember I was sitting there once, some guy comes to Ayatollah Grami. He does the istikhara, the guy asks him what verse came out. I held my head. I said, you don't ask somebody like that. And you know, he's ill. So he replies and he goes, listen, I open up the Quran tabarrukan. The voice comes into my ears. Write salawat, please. I get nervous when the management's on the stage. Shall I call them forward? If we can come forward, please, with the salawat. Just come forward. We are So we have what? 4 now? 3 now? I'll give you another one. Here it says, whether you're Muslim, non-Muslim, Allah will bless you if you have this other quality. What is that quality? Generosity. Any human being that has generosity, Allah will bless them. Through generosity, what happens? Life is increased. Problems are removed. Strange how it just kind of comes into play. But you know what the beauty is about generosity? If you're generous for the cause of the Ahlul Bayt, then not just 1 but 7 generations of yours benefit. God forbid a time comes in your life, God forbid a time comes when your mother is sick, when your child is sick, when your family is going through trial and tribulations. Why not be generous towards the cause of the Ahlul Bayt? I'll give you an example. Right? I'll give you an example. Forget the majlis of Hussein. The rice that's served for Hussein, that also has shafa. Right? Somebody gives money to just the tabarruk of Hussein. Imagine if they gave money to even the message of Hussein. I'll give you an example. Ayatollah Dastaghaib narrated a story once. One of my teachers was telling me. He said to me, look, Ayatollah Dastaghaib, when he was in Najaf, there used to be a man who used to come in Najaf. In Muharram time, he used to come, sit there, and he used to have sit at the back. In those days, where they were smoking the majlis, right? So he would sit there having a cigarette at the back. And you could tell he wasn't very interested. Maybe he was, but Ayatollah Dastaghaib thought he wasn't. And after that, he would just drink the tea and then he would go. So Ayatollah Dastaghaib said to him, look man, at least come for the majlis, man. Listen to it properly. You're just coming for the Rothmans and you're coming for the tea. So he says, look, just let me do what I'm doing. Saddam kicked him all out. They ended up in Qom. He said, I went to Husseini Najaf here. Majlis finishes. Who's standing there next to the tea place? This guy again. He says, look, for God's sake, in Najaf you were drinking teas, here you're drinking tea. For God's sake, at least listen to the majlis. He says, look, let me do what I'm doing. Thursday comes, Allama Dastaghi walks out. As he's going through Ghuzar Khan, next to Masjid al-Fatimiyya, he sees a massive sign there. The sign said this person has passed away. He says, Allah bless this person. Khuda rahmatu shukr, he's passed away. Rahmatullah alayhi, he's passed away. He says that night he goes to sleep. When he goes to sleep, what does he see? He sees a massive palace which is there in his dream. So he looks up, he says, man, I'm standing next to Mamlakat Ali Muhammad. This is probably Abul Fadl Abbas's palace. Let me go inside and see who's inside. As he goes inside, he sees that man again standing there with a tea in his hand. He goes, in this world, he didn't stop. In this world, come on, man. He looks up, he goes, you know whose palace this is? He says, no. He says, this is my palace. You're on my property. He says, how did you achieve this? He says, because with Aqidah I would come to drink the tea of Hussein. So I'm going to hold this discussion there. Your community, your Husseiniya, is named after Imam Hussein. Had he not asked me, I wouldn't say this. This goes against my own principles to ever ask. I don't ask. It's a privilege for you to give for Imam Hussein. If you think that you're a follower of Imam Hussein, I don't need to ask. But because they've asked me, requested, and I'm a guest in your city, then I take their request. Whatever you have, whatever you can do, they're going to come out, they're going to collect for the center. Whatever you can give for the sake of Imam Hussein, you have 2 minutes to do that. Bismillah.
As I said earlier, I would request our chairman, Brother Mehdi Mirza and Brother Ali Hussain for our annual Ayyam-e-Adha donation drive. But Muhammad Wali Muhammad Salawat.
While the volunteers pass out the form, I'm just going to take a minute of your time, and I apologize for interrupting, but it's our annual fundraising drive for operations. So on behalf of the Azadas attending IEC Husseini's programs, would like to thank all the volunteers for their endless dedication for making this possible. Also want to thank all the community members for following the directions of the volunteers. And we realize that we do have shortcomings, and we welcome your suggestions and comments. And we have volunteer opportunities, so if you're interested, please contact us. Once again, thank you for supporting IEC with your volunteer opportunity as well as financially, because that's what makes all these programs possible.
Maulana, with your permission. Assalamu alaikum, respected Momineen and Mominat of IEC Husseini. Being that this is a very important night and we are in the process of Majalis Azai Imam Hussein alayhi salam, I will not take a lot of your time. What I do seek your cooperation. I am a volunteer at IEC Husseini, such as Mehdi Bhai is, and a lot of the Momineen who function in various functioning capacities to help make sure the operations of this Imam Bargah are proper and are working as fluid as possible for one reason and one reason only. For Azadari from Majlis Azai Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Bar Muhammad Wali Muhammad Salawat. Without going into a very long speech, which I don't need to, we understand the significance of the night. Maulana Sayyid Ali Abbas Razavi Sahib has stated very eloquently the importance of giving to the Imam Bargah Imam Hussein alayhi salam. As we do each year, let me get right to the point. As a servant of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, a very meek person, my responsibility each year is to come and ask for money from Majlis Azai Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We are looking for 72 Momineen and Mominat who can contribute at least $500. Now, if you can contribute a sum that maybe not be $500, that's fine. There's nothing, and that's great, in fact. But we are looking for 72 Momineen who could contribute $500. The funds collected, the cumulative funds collected, will be directly used for Majlis Azai Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Salawat. The funds collected will not be used for capital expense. They will not be used to buy supplies. They will be used for Majlis-e-Azaa. That is what we're asking for. So as we do each year, we are asking for 72 mu'mineen. 72. If you are one of the 72, please raise your hand. Please raise your hand. 1, mashallah. 2, 3, 4, 5. The brother in the back. 6, 7, 8. Volunteers, please recognize the brothers who are raising their hand, and please provide them with a form. To our sisters downstairs, as you are doing this with us, please do the same. If you require a pen, our volunteers have the pen. We stopped off at the number 8. Can we continue? Can we continue? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Brother needs a pen here onto the left side, please. Brother, please continue to raise your hand so we can identify you. Just to give you the strength of our community, the reason we are in this beautiful Imam Barga is because all of us got together, contributed, worked hard in whatever capacity we had to help build this beautiful Imam Barga, Imam Hussain alayhi salam. There's nothing more gratifying than pulling in out of North Avenue and Glen Ellen Road to see this beautiful mosque that sits in front of us, beautifully lit. We, all of us working together, gave each other the opportunity to come here for Majlis-e-Azaa. Now we also have a commitment to the commitment we already made, and that is to make sure operations are functioning, and with that we require funds. Okay, can we continue the counts? 17, 18, 19. Volunteers, please recognize the brothers who are raising their hands and deliver the form. 20, 21. Brother, if you could please, if you have not received a form and I've referred to you, please keep your hands raised so we could deliver the form to you. We need a form up front, please. Lastly, what I want is, when I was referring to the strength of the Azadari in our community, each night at IEC Hussaini, since our Imam Barga has expanded and is an amazing facility, we, within this facility, have close to 14 to what will eventually be about 2,000 Azadars coming into the facility from Majlis-e-Azaa each night. The more spectacular outreach of our program is each night on our global program network, and I say global because we have people logging into Majlis-e-Azaa at Imam Hussain alayhi salam at IEC Hussaini in South America, in Africa, all over Europe, and of course our favorite India and Pakistan, right? We're talking 1,000 to about 1,250 computers logged in each night. Each night from Majlis-e-Azaa Imam Hussain alayhi salam, there could be 3,000 mu'mineen watching with us. That is what this community, what you have helped this community grow into. An absolute premier Islamic education center that is recognized globally. And that is an accomplishment that we have all achieved. That is the power. Now let us continue. Do I see more hands? Par Muhammad wale Muhammad salawat. Continuing on, can I see at least 4 more mu'mineen raising their hands for contributions and to partake in 72? 4 more. Four more. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1 more. 4. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Bar Muhammad wale Muhammad salawat. Volunteers, I would like you to ask to please distribute the forms to my brothers here on stage. If you could please, on your forms, fill out your name, email, and phone number. We would like to We would like to thank you for contributing to Majlis-e-Azai Muhammad Hussain alayhi salam. We'd like to very sincerely thank you, Maulana Sayyid Ali Abbas Rezavi. Thank you for this opportunity, Maulana, and we apologize for any disruption in the Majlis. And my dear brothers and sisters, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your patience in listening to us. Please know that the volunteers here at IEC Hussaini, we are here to serve you, and in whatever capacity that we could function to make your experience better, we promise you as the board of directors and the management staff that we will, inshallah. Now please let's continue with Majlis-e-Azai Imam Hussain alayhi salam, Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, salawat. May we please ask you to move forward as much as possible, please. Please help fill the voids that are before you. Please move forward as much as possible. If you need to rise and come forward, please feel free to do so as well, so we can continue Majlis-e-Azai Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, salawat.
Allah bless all of those people who are, in whatever way possible, contributing financially, physically, time-wise, to this message of Azah. Notice something. Names are written every Thursday for certain people who are doing certain good deeds. But names are also cut as well for certain people who don't live up to that expectation. I'll give you a story that Ayatollah Wahid al-Khurasani gave. I was listening to a story that he gave. He said that when I was younger, I would study under an Ayatollah by the name of Sayyid Abdul Hadi Shirazi. Said Abdul Hadi Shirazi in any given time trained, according to Ayatollah Wahid, Maraji, who he considers as knowledgeable. Now it's very difficult for him to say to somebody that you're a mujtahid. So if you look at the sanad of ijtihad that is given, he gives it to very few people because he doesn't recognize many people. But he said that in those lessons we had people like Sayyid Ali Bahishti, people like Sheikh Mirza Jawad Tabrizi. We had individuals like that sitting in the room. So he said that one day news had come that Sayyid Ja'far Shirazi had passed away. He says Ja'far Shirazi was his wife's brother. He says he passed away. So Ayatollah Wahid said, I came to Ayatollah Sayyid Abdul Hadi Shirazi, the Marja, and I said to him, look, you know, this is my condolences to you. And he said that I heard that Sayyid Ja'far passed away. So he said to him, look, you know, I want to tell you something. He said, what? He said, I haven't told anyone this, but I want to tell you something. He says, fine, come. Sat down. He says, I'm going to tell you this. He said, what? He said, a couple of nights ago, I saw a dream. In my dream, I saw that Abul Fadl Abbas was sitting there and Imam Hussain was dictating him something. Right? There was a list there. And this was the list of those people who are the Azadar of Fatima alayhi salam. The list was there. It's being updated. It said that, but there's a list with a higher level as well. For those people who recite for the sake of Ahlul Bayt. For those people, there's an entire hadith Allama Majlisi mentions that once one of the Imams said, he said, if a person recites and 40 people cry, Jannat becomes wajib upon them. He says, no. He says, if 30 people cry, Jannah becomes wajib. And he says, no. If 10 people cry, Jannah becomes wajib. And he brings it down to if one person cries, Jannah becomes wajib, right? But now look at the criteria. Criteria is a tough one. So here he says to Abbas, he says, cut this person's name out and put this other person's in. So Ayatollah Sayyid Abdul Hadi Shirazi says, I saw the name of Sayyid Ja'far on there. So I went to Sayyid Ja'far the next day and I called him and I said, look, Imam Hussein's put your name on the reciters, but you don't recite. Sayyid Ja'far said, look, when I was leaving, I thought to myself that I've never really recited before. But I felt the urge to recite. So I went, I bought a maqtal from the shop, and I called my children. And I said, children, let me recite the Masaib of Imam Hussain and you cry. He said the sincerity of this man was such, Imam Hussein asked for his name to be written down. But Ayatollah Wahid al-Khurasani said there was other names on there as well. One of the names he cut out. Just because, and this is I say to myself, just because I feel that I may be a reciter doesn't mean that my name is going to stay permanently on. Right? But remember one thing, if you give people food for the sake of Imam Hussein, if you give people water for the sake of Imam Hussein, if you give people water for the sake of Zahra alayhi salam, what does the hadith say? It says, Mahshar will come, Jibreel will be waiting. Jibreel doesn't wait for anyone. And the hukum is then given. Ahl Mahshar, lower your eyes. Why? Fatima bint Muhammad is coming on Mahshar. The tradition says she comes like a bird comes and picks one by one each one of her Shia. Each one of her Azadar one by one. She picks them like a bird picks grain. But you know what? When all of you are going towards heaven, then you're inspired and you say to Allah, Allah, show the world our status. And at that moment then the reply comes, take everyone who's even given a glass of water for the sake of Zahra alayhi salam. Right? This is why they say, contribute, help, do whatever you can for the sake of Imam Hussein. The biggest thing you can do is give time. People come, they write checks and they walk away. But how many people are going to be there cleaning? I've seen some of the most successful people you wouldn't believe. Within months, they've come from here to over there. Some of the leading professionals in your country, I don't want to mention any names, but because we travel extensively, some of the leading professionals in your country in their fields, even to this day when nobody's looking, go to the toilet and clean the toilet of the Husayniyah. Why? Because they say this is Imam Hussein's home. And it's our responsibility to make sure Imam Hussein looks clean. This is what inspires people then to have children like Sheikh Taqi Bahjad. Because you may think that it's not running in you, but what you're doing is having an asr on your generation to come. You know, if there's something negative that's going to go into your nasl, Allah removes that negativity and makes it positive. This is why they say it's the small things in life that count. So honestly, do those small things and implement those small things. Final thing is this then. Remember from the 5 signs I said, 5 signs. The final sign is this, a person who has control over their temper. And sometimes the biggest problem for us is actually to control our temper. Religious, non-religious people. You've been told, when you walk through the door and you come into your house, what do? You leave all your stress behind. And what do some people in our community do? They take out the stress on their spouses, be it male or female, take out this stress on their spouses. This is haram. This is bad. This has effect. Have you not looked at the tradition? Where Rasulullah says that this is adhab going on, says, but why Rasulullah? This person was with you. He says, adhab is there because he used to trouble his wife, trouble his children. You cannot reach the highest levels of ma'arifah until or unless you don't become one with your family. You know, we're so careful when it comes to meeting people from the outside. But when it comes to our own family, we take them for granted. Don't take your family for granted. Now let me give you a story. There's a prophet by the name of Dhul-Kifl. You go to Najaf, right? Take a taxi 25 minutes away, there's a shrine. The shrine of Dhul-Kifl, Prophet Ezekiel. When you go into the shrine, you see that today the Hebrew writing is still there. Ahl Iraq has preserved their heritage, which is a good thing. The custodians of that shrine are now in the UK, and they're Iraqi Jews who have a lot of love for Iraqi Shias. There's a lot of love there because remember, when you eat together, when you live together, when you spend time together, then what happens? Love begins to form. This is why even when you live in your countries, speak to people, talk to people, share with people, build that love, build that connection. This person who I'm telling you about, when it comes to this, and I said this before, when it comes to the shahadat of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far, messages me to say condolences. When the issue of Imam Hussein comes, he messages me to say, take your condolences. But what makes a person not from my faith, it's a Jewish man, to text me? The reason why? Because he's lived there and he's seen the karamat of Ahlul Bayt and the followers of the Ahlul Bayt. The Middle East once upon a time was a peaceful place, right? Iraq was once a peaceful place where Jews and Muslims lived side by side. Whenever the Jewish nation fell into problems in 1400 years, in the Middle East, they would come to Shia lands. Shias gave them respite. Why do you think today in Isfahan there's Jewish communities? In the time of the Safavis said, come in, don't worry about it, because we'll look after you. The Shia way is always this: look after people. Whoever they are, whatever background they're from, look after people. You know why? You change hearts like that. Don't you know the story about the woman chucking rubbish on the Prophet? If the Prophet turned around and said, that's it, that woman wouldn't have come to Ahlul Bayt. That woman wouldn't have come onto the path of Islam. Even when somebody wrongs you, you do right. Your Mawla Amir al-Mu'mineen says, sitting there, Rasulullah asked a question to Fulan. He says, Fulan, what would you do if somebody did bad to you? He said, do bad back to them. So says the other Fulan, he says, look, Fulan, what would you do? He says, I'd do good. What about if it happened a second time? He says, then, obviously I'd have to retaliate. Third guy sitting there, same things, kind of replies. Rasulullah looks up at Amir al-Mu'mineen, says, Ya Ali, what would you do? He says, I would do good. What about if they did bad again? He says, I still do good to them. He said, if they did bad again to you? He said, I still do good to them. He goes, how long would you do good? He goes, as long as he can do bad, I can keep on doing my goodness. If he can't leave his bad habit, why should I leave my good habit? Amir al-Mu'mineen is ghareeb, man. People have not understood who the Imam is. Well, they understand who your Imam is. How compassionate he is, how kind he is. Look at the way at night time. Have you not heard the stories? When Amir al-Mu'mineen was hit on the head, the orphans found out that Ali requires milk. The night of the 20th, small children came out with bowls in their hand outside the door of Imam Ali. Said, we have milk for you. This is all that we have. We'll stay hungry, but we want to make sure that our father is kept alive. See, this is what brings a person, even though they had nothing to eat or drink. What takes you to the stage where you come out as an orphan and say, look, why? Because Amir al-Mu'mineen would hug them. He would play with them. He would feed them. Somebody asked a question. You know what the question was? They said, Ya Ali, why do you go every night to give food to people? Why don't you invite people to you? You know what he replied? He says, I invite my friends to me, but those people who don't like me, I go out to them to give them food. Now imagine. Look at your Mawla and just take lessons from this. It's not just stories. To become Amir al-Mu'mineen, work towards that. Okay, we can never be Amir al-Mu'mineen, but his sifat is there for us to copy. At least try and be like Amir al-Mu'mineen. It's like what Allama Hilli said. Somebody asked her, they said, well, who did you want to be? He said, I wanted to be like Amir al-Mu'mineen. That's why I became Allama Hilli. Right? Because he said to one of the kids, he said, look, you're looking to be me, you ain't going to be like me. You want to be like me, you got to aim to be like Amir al-Mu'mineen. That's when you can. Look at some of our greatest scholars. They lived the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen. They tried to anyway. Nobody can do. Nobody can do. But ishq of the Imam is such that you want to copy everything. Why? Because he's the beloved. True ashik is a person who copies the sifat. All they see is Amir al-Mu'mineen. Have you ever seen a kid in love? Okay, maybe some of our elders are past that stage. But some of our younger kids, when they're continuously talking, my husband is this, my wife is that, and the day his wife goes away for even 3 days, the guy is crawling up the walls. Why? There's an ishq there. At least it happens for 6 months. After that, I can't give any guarantee. But what do you do though? But bring it back now. If you love Amir al-Mu'mineen, then what? Everywhere you turn, you see Amir al-Mu'mineen. Ask Salman the question. Everywhere he turned, wherever he looked, he saw the face of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Right? Friends of Amir al-Mu'mineen saw Amir al-Mu'mineen. But also in the Battle of Badr, enemies of Amir al-Mu'mineen saw Amir al-Mu'mineen everywhere as well. They looked at the front, Amir al-Mu'mineen was coming. They looked to the right, Amir al-Mu'mineen was coming. They looked to the left, Amir al-Mu'mineen. So somebody says, Ya Rasulullah, what's the problem? Everywhere we're seeing Ali, 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 Ali. He replies, he says, the angels have come down in the form of Amir al-Mu'mineen and they're fighting as well. This is Amir al-Mu'mineen. You look at the man. Look at his majesty. Look at his majesty. They say that after 25 years, when Amir al-Mu'mineen finally got his khilafat, so he begins to walk into the masjid. Symbolism is very important. We'll discuss it tomorrow. Symbolism here is very important. It goes back to the primordial nature of man, symbolism. They say when he walked in, he had the shirt of Ibrahim, the one that he wore when he was chucked into the fire. He had the black cloak of the Prophet. He had the staff of Musa, had the ring of Suleiman. Remember, within biblical studies, there's something known as Tabut al-Sakina. Within Tabut al-Sakina is what? The relics of the prophets. That Tabut al-Sakina disappeared after the Temple of Solomon, when Nebuchadnezzar destroyed it. Even afterwards, when Cyrus the Great remade the second temple, Tabut al-Sakina wasn't there anymore. People ask the question, where is Tabut al-Sakina? You don't find anywhere in history that those relics come out. The only time the relics of Tabut al-Sakina come out is when Amir al-Mu'mineen walks in to the masjid and he goes up the stairs of the masjid and he comes onto the mimbar and he climbs 1 step and 2 step and 3 step, goes all the way to the top. He says, praise be to that Lord that finally Haqq has come back on his place. Only Amir al-Mu'mineen can do that, right? So then he says, Saluni. Then he says, ask me. Whatever you want to ask me before you lose me. So you find somebody stands up and he says, Amir al-Mu'mineen, tell us, how many hairs do I have on my head? Imam says, even if I told you, you couldn't count it. But let me tell you something. In your house, Saad, in your house is a guy called Umar, your son. He will be the killer of my son. Saad ibn Abi Waqas asked the question. Amir al-Mu'mineen gave him the answer. He says, go to your house and see. There's a child in your house which will be the killer of my son Hussein. This is Amir al-Mu'mineen. Ilm imamat, look at the basir of the Imam. Imam didn't take any revenge there either. Imam could have done. What does he say to Ibn Muljim? Ibn Muljim, you're giving me bayah, but I can see the day when this is covering this. Did he show bad akhlaq to Ibn Muljim? No. Did he slander Ibn Muljim? No. He caused pain to Ibn Muljim? No. He was the best person to Ibn Muljim. Why? This is called hujjat. Had he not been the best person, it would have meant that there's no mercy in the world. Allah's mercy flows from Amir al-Mu'mineen. This is what tells us that Allah is merciful. When you see the hujjat of Allah so merciful, then it tells us how merciful is your Lord. Look, my time is fast going. I know that 10 minutes were taken, but I still want to try and finish on time. I'm going to give you one final tradition. And then I'm going to move into today. So one day Amir al-Mu'mineen, right, standing in the center in the mosque, he says, ask me whatever you want to ask me. Remember, nobody's given this iddia. Nobody does this. Sixth Imam was asked. He said, are you not Sahib al-Saluni? He says, listen, we have the same knowledge of imamat, but Saluni is only for Ajad Ali. Allah has taken upon himself that whoever says Saluni, Allah will disgrace them. Right? So you've heard the story, Sibta Jozi. Sibta Jozi is a very famous scholar. One day he thought to himself, look, I've got a lot of knowledge in my chest. So he comes onto the member, he says, Saluni. That's the last thing you want to say. Man gets up. He says, I got a question. He says, what is your question? He says that, in fact, no. The tradition says it was a woman who got up. She asked the question. She said, look, is it wajib to bury a person after they die? He says, of course it's wajib. He says, can I ask you a question? He says, what? Why was so-and-so's body lying there for 6 days and nobody of the Sahabi were burying him? So when she said that, he got angry. He said, curse be on your husband if he's allowed you to come here without him, or curse be on you if you've left the house without his permission. So she looks up and she says, can you tell me another question, please? Did so-and-so leave her house with the permission of her husband or without the permission of her husband? Now, half of you, I don't know, didn't get that. Think about Battle of Jamal and then get back to me. Oh, now you got it. Recite a salawat, please. So he takes his amama, chucks it on the floor. After that, he never came onto the mimbar again. That's what happens when you try and imitate Amir al-Mu'mineen. Right? So, Amir al-Mu'mineen was sitting there and he thought to himself, he's asking the question again now. They say an old man was there, he walks in. Haybat and Jalal. And he says to himself, my Mawla is asking a question and these people are asking stupid questions. Comes forward, he looks up, face was light. He says, Ya Ali, can you tell me where Jibreel is? So Amir al-Mu'mineen looks to the right. All of reality one way. He said, Jibreel is not there. He looks to the left. All of reality that way. He said, Jibreel is not there. Looks forward, backwards, up, down. Looks at him and he goes, I've seen all of creation from the beginning to the end. I can't find Jibreel anywhere. There's only two people left, me and you. I'm Ali ibn Abi Talib, therefore you must be Jibreel. So the hadith says all of a sudden Jibreel goes up, the dome opens, he flies or whatever it was, the light goes up, closes again. So one munafiq looks at another one and says, what was the point of Jibreel to show off like that? In the way that he came in, he could have gone out as well. And you think to yourself, some people are never happy. That is enough of a sign for me to say, fine, this is haqq. Right? But remember what we said, eyes have to be open in the heart. Purification of the soul needs to be there. What is the best way of purification? Tears for the sake of Ahlul Bayt. Right? I'll give you a story. Tonight, many of you are here because you have Aqeedah on Abul Fadl al-Abbas. I know many of you are just waiting for the Masa'ib to come and for you to cry. I'm not here to hold you back. For our community, Abul Fadl al-Abbas is such that our mothers have taught us, son, whenever you have a problem, go under the alam of Abbas. I'm not here to hold you back. I'm going to recite today for as long as you want me to recite. For as long as I can recite, as long as my heart can take it. But before I get to that point, I just want to say one thing. There was a guy by the name of Haji Muhammad Ali. Haji Muhammad Ali was famous because he would take groups to ziyarah. One day, he ends up going to Hajj with the intention, I want to meet my Imam. Just the one day before the day of Arafah, when the Hajjis go there, he comes onto the plain of Arafah and he goes inside of a tent and he's waiting there. And as he's waiting there, when he looks up, there was obviously nobody there. He sees one man. Man had a green shawl over his head and that man is walking towards him. When the man walks towards him, both of them say salam. And so the Haji said, look, this guy looks like a Sayyid. He's a Sayyid. Let me ask him a question. He says to him, can you tell me something? He says, what? He says, you seem to be knowledgeable. He says, yes, ask me. He says, where's Imam Zaman? The reply comes, he says, Imam Zaman is in a tent. And he stops there. He asks him the next question. He said, is Imam Zaman going to be here for Arafat tomorrow? He says, Imam Zaman is going to be here for Arafat tomorrow. He says, where is he going to be? He says, around the hudud of Jabal al-Rahmah. This is where Hussein ibn Ali gave his khutbah. So that is where it's going to be. So he begins to continue. He says, can I ask you another question? He says, yes. Do you think that the Imam will come to us tomorrow when we're doing the Amal of Arafah? He looks up and he says, yes. The Imam will come, but he will only come when you recite the Masa'ib of Abul Fadl al-Abbas. Man leaves. All of a sudden, Haji Muhammad Ali realizes, hang on a minute. He knew my name. He was speaking in my dialect. I understood him completely. He was answering all my questions. He starts hitting his head on the floor. He said, this was my Mawla. But then he remembered one thing. He said, but when a person recites the Masa'ib of Abbas, then even Imam Zaman comes. Right? Tonight, just remember, you don't know who's next to you. They say that morning came, Arafah came. Arafah came, he forgot to tell his people about Abul Fadl Abbas's Masa'ib. All of a sudden, the Wa'iz begins to recite the Masa'ib of Abul Fadl Abbas. As he recites it, this man realizes, where's my Mawla? My Mawla said he was coming. His heart begins to beat. He's thinking, where's my Mawla? When's he going to come? He says, let me go outside of the tent and see where my Mawla is. When he went outside of the tent, your Imam-e-Zaman was holding the piece of the tent and he was standing outside and crying. He was crying. He didn't want to disturb you. He was standing out there crying. Why? Because even Imam has Aqidah on Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Bab al-Hawaij. You've come to the right place today. You've come to Bab al-Hawaij today. Give you one more story, and then we'll go into what we need to go into. One more story. There was a man. His mother was very sick. He takes her to the shrine of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. One Ayatollah says, I was watching that this young man has brought his mother. You know, imagine old mother, you carry your old mother to the shrine of Abbas. And he was saying to Abbas, cure my mother, cure my mother, cure my mother. And he said, I was watching the whole night. This man was shaking the zari, he was repenting, he was asking munajat. He was thinking, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? He said, I sat there watching to see what's going to happen. He said, eventually a time came when this man was losing a bit of hope. This young man gets up, and I said to him, look, go and prepare ghusl and kafan for your mother, because she's about to die. He looks at me and he says, Sheikh, I wouldn't come to Abbas if I thought my mother was going to die. I wouldn't come to Abbas if I thought my mother was going to die. Sheikh sits back, he says, look, this guy's really got some emotions, let's see what happens. Eventually a time comes when his mother's not getting better. This young man gets up and he begins to walk. And as he begins to walk with tears in his eyes, he looks at the shrine of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas and he just says one thing. He says, Mawla, I'm going to your father Amir al-Mu'mineen to complain that you haven't given shafa to my mother. As he begins to go, and as he goes to the hudud of Karbala, a man is riding behind him and that man cuts him off. When he cuts him off, he says, come back and see. Your mother has recovered again. Your mother has recovered again. He says, how do you know? He says, just come back and see. Boy turns around, young man turns around. When he gets there, he sees his mother was walking. So he says to the rider, he says, oh rider, you gave me good news. Can I shake your hands? The rider looks up, he says, my brother, I don't have any hands to give you. Tonight the flag of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas is going to come out. It's going to be brought into this hall. I want to recite one more story in relation to the flag of Abbas, then I'm coming on to the Masab of Abbas. In 2007, some of us will know this. I recited this once before in another place. 2007, there was a Rajput, and the Rajput couldn't have any children. One of my friends' eyewitness account from Lucknow tells me this. He says the Rajput couldn't have any children. 10 years had gone. Him and his wife come to the Majd. The Julus of Abbas is coming, when the procession of Abbas is coming, they come, both of them. Husband says to the wife, my mother told me that when none of your prayers are being accepted, just go under the flag of Abbas and grab the flag of Abbas and ask. So he says to his wife, he says, we've gone everywhere and tried everything. This is our final resort. We're going to Abbas. So he says that when the flag of Abbas came out in the Julus, he goes on and he grabs it. And all of us, this emotion comes in play. My friend said I was watching. He said he grabbed onto the alam of Abbas and he said, Abbas, my mother said to me that whenever I have a problem, I should go under your flag. I don't have a bigger problem than this. I don't have a child. Abbas, give me a son, and if you give me a son, I'll bury him in your way. Right? 9 months later, Allah gave him a son. 2008, Allah gave him a son. Heavy-hearted, he remembered what he made promises to Abbas. And he said to himself, I'm a Rajput. The promises that I make, I'm going to keep those promises. But he waited because he knew his wife was now a new mother. He could see her holding the baby in her hands. He could see her kissing the baby. At night time, he grabs the baby and he begins to walk. And as he walks, he digs a small grave. He puts the baby in the grave. He said, I felt so bad. My heart was hurting because the baby was holding onto my clothes. It was holding onto my finger. It was smiling. Somehow I put the baby in and I started filling the sand over the baby. Heavy-hearted, I was standing just outside of my house thinking, how am I going to go in? That eventually I opened the door. When I went in, I could hear a baby's voice coming from another room. I went into the room. I saw my wife was holding a baby in her hands. So I said to her, I said, why are you holding this baby for? Why are you holding this baby for? Did you follow me? I went to bury it because this was my promise. She says, my husband, I didn't follow you. Half an hour after you left, there was a knock on the door. When I opened the door, there was a very tall man standing there. He had a baby with him. When he gave me the baby, he said to me, tell your husband, what we Ahlul Bayt give, we don't take back. They say that when Bashir came to Medina, he gave a voice. The voice was قَدْ قُتِلَ الْحُسَيْنَ بِكَرْبَلَةٍ. They said Banin was sitting in the Sahn. She says to Fadl, she says, Fadl, give me my stick. She grabs the stick and she stands up. And the tradition says she looks towards Najaf and she just says one thing. She says, Sayyidi wa Mawlai, forgive me that my son Abbas wasn't able to help you, Hussein. She says to Fadl, let's go outside. They begin to walk. They come to Bashir. As they come to Bashir, they ask Bashir a question. Banin says, she says, what Hussein do you talk about that was killed in Karbala? He replied, he says, Hussein, the son of Zahra. She looks up and she says, I don't think that is the right Hussein. Says, why? Says, because my Abbas was with him. He says, but Abbas was killed in Karbala. Replies and says, but I can't believe that Abbas was killed. No mother has born a son like Abbas. I can't believe Abbas was killed. He replies, he says, but Abbas was hit from the back of the head. Says, but I raised Abbas. Abbas can't be attacked from the front or the back. Abbas can defend himself. The reply came, but Abbas had no arms. His right arm was chopped off. His left arm was chopped off. So Banin just asks one question. She falls to the ground. And then she gets up and she says, Bashir, tell me, when my son Abbas fell to the ground, he had no arms to support him. Did his chest hit the floor first, or did his head hit the floor? At that moment, she says, Fadl, I'm going alone now to a broken grave. Don't follow me. Don't follow me. Banin goes to a broken grave, sits on the broken grave, touches the dirt of the grave, and just says one thing. She says, Zahra, please forgive me, but my son wasn't treacherous to your son. He gave his life first. I say to Banin one thing. Your Abbas fell once, if his chest hit or his head hit. But what about Zainab? Her arms were tied behind her back. Every time she fell, ask yourself the question, did her chest hit or did her head hit? of 11 AH comes, 11 Hijrah comes. Zahra is leaving this world. As she leaves this world, Amir al-Mu'mineen is sitting there with her. You know what she says? She says, Abul Hassan, I have some wasiyas to give you. Says, what are those wasiyas, Zahra? You know what she says? Honestly, it breaks my heart. She puts her hands together. She says, Abul Hassan, forgive me if I've ever wronged you. So Amir al-Mu'mineen begins to cry. He says, Zahra, you wronged me? He begins to cry. Second question. Zahra looks up and again says something. She says, Abul Hassan, I'm moving very fast. Says, Abul Hassan, if ever my son Hussein at night times feel thirsty, please wake up and get him some water. Abul Hassan, my Zainab is very small. Protect my Zainab. Tradition continues. And then it comes to a point where she says, and Abul Hassan, if ever you get an opportunity ever in your life, please do come regularly to my grave and give me salam. Zahra was missing Amir al-Mu'mineen. Do come regularly to give salam on my grave. Amir al-Mu'mineen with tears in his eyes says, he says, Zahra, on one condition, says, what is that? When I give salam, you reply to me. Then she concludes and she says, give my salam to two people. Says, who are they? She says, give my salam to Abbas when he comes. Zahra passes away from this world. Amir al-Mu'mineen marries al-Baneen. You know the day when he marries al-Baneen, right? When she was coming home, all of Banu Hashim had taken out their swords. al-Baneen comes from under the swords. She goes, she doesn't go inside the house though. She comes and she sits on the doormat of Amir al-Mu'mineen's house. Sayyidah Zainab Kulsum come. They say, mother, why aren't you going inside of the house? She replies, she says, how can I go into the house where Fatima al-Zahra used to be? Says, I'm coming in this house as a slave. I'm not coming in this house as your mother. Zainab grabs one arm, Kulsum grabs one arm. They take al-Baneen into the house. They say from that day onwards, Amir al-Mu'mineen did one dua for 10 years. Every time he got to the musalla, he said, Allah, give me a son Abbas. Give me a son Abbas. Give me a son Abbas. Father's dua, 10 years later, Abbas comes into the world. al-Baneen was lying there with Abbas. She puts him in white parchment and she leaves Abbas there. Amir al-Mu'mineen walks in, opens up the parchment, kisses Abbas on the right arm, then kisses Abbas on the left arm. al-Baneen begins to cry. She says, Mawla, I've seen when all of your children are born, you kiss them on the forehead. Is it because my son is the son of a slave that you kiss him on the right arm and you kiss him on the left arm? Amir al-Mu'mineen says, no, you don't know. His right arm will be sacrificed for my Hussein, and his left arm will be sacrificed for Hussein. Right? One day Amir al-Mu'mineen walks in. Abbas was 2 years old. When he walks in, he sees Zainab is holding one hand, Kulsum was holding the other hand. They were training Abbas how to walk. So Amir al-Mu'mineen gets happy. He looks up and he says, look at my daughters today, teaching my son to walk. Zainab looks up and she replies, Father, today we're learning to walk under Abbas's shadow. Abbas. Many people have come, they said, for dua. Do you know how your dua can be answered? I'm going to give you 3 ways that your dua will be answered. Nobody should leave here without their dua being answered. Imam says, alayhi salam, he says, if ever you have a problem, ask 3 wasilas from my uncle Abbas, and you will see my uncle Abbas will answer you. They ask, Mullah, what is it? Says that first wasila, if your dua is not being answered, first wasila is this. Ask Abbas for the earrings of Sakina. And if you have any doubt, ask for the hijab of Zainab. But remember, ask from the Baneen as well. Right? I haven't even recited the Masahib of Abbas yet. I haven't recited the Masahib. I'm trying to think, how am I going to recite Abbas's Masahib? I know your Aqidah, I know my Aqidah. It's very difficult. I'm just going to give you one more tradition then. You know what that tradition is? Look, I'm accelerating everything. Just one tradition. 9th of Muharram comes. Sayyid al-Shuhada says to Abul Fadl Abbas, go to the enemy and ask for 1 day. A man with a ghaira, imagine how difficult it is for him to go and ask for 1 day. Tradition says Zuhair bin Qayn was with him. They were riding. And as they were riding the horse, Zuhair begins to speak to Muslim. Both of them are conversing. One says to the other, do you remember the day when Ali got married to Baneen? And Ali was saying that I'm going to have a son Abbas who's going to help Hussein. When Abul Fadl Abbas heard this, both of his hands, he grabs the horse and he pulls the horse. Pulls the horse and he stops it. He says, Zuhair, just go to my Mawla and just say to him for me to go and fight. By Fajr time, I'll take this army out. How difficult is it for that man to go to Umar ibn Sa'd and say, just give us one more night, one more night. 2 more traditions. 2 more traditions. Perhaps I won't be able to recite them, but I'll recite them. Ashura Day is going to come. Just remember, Abbas went just before Asr time, just before Sayyid al-Shuhada. Tradition says Abbas was standing there watching. The day began. One shaheed comes back. Abbas's hand on his sword. The next shaheed comes back. Abbas's hand is on his sword. Every time he goes up to Mawla, he says, Mawla, please give me the ijazah to go into the battlefield. He says, Abbas, you don't have ijazah. Banu Hashim come. The body, it says in the tradition, the body of Ali Akbar comes back. He says, Abbas says, this is a person I trained with my own hands. Mawla, give me the ijazah to go. I can't see me carrying these students of mine. Qasim comes back. On and Muhammad come back. Tradition says one by one, everyone comes back. Abbas is thinking, what am I going to do? At the moment of the time when he's thinking, what am I going to do? He looks towards a tent and he sees a 4-year-old girl, and the 4-year-old girl picks up a water container. She shakes the container. She puts the coldness on her lips. She puts the coldness on her head, and she's saying, Al-Atash, Al-Atash, Al-Atash. Abbas goes forward. He says, Sakina, do you want some water? Reply says, I want some water. Says, go and say to your father to let me into the battlefield. Sakina goes running. She says, Father, let Abbas go into the battlefield. Tradition says she comes back. As she comes back, she says to all of the children, children, get your water containers, because my uncle Abbas is going to get the water. Tradition says now, Sayyid al-Shuhada looks towards his brother. Old brother goes forward, puts his arms on the shoulders of Abbas, says, Abbas, you're going, but Abbas, know something. What's going to happen to my daughter after you? Hadith says, Abbas gets onto his horse. As he gets onto his horse, Sayyid al-Shuhada looks up and he says something. Old brother says to his younger brother, he says, all of your life, Zainab has raised you. Can you go and give your final farewell to your sister? Abbas turns his horse around, goes to the tent of Zainab. Zainab comes out. She says, brother, can you get off the horse just for 1 minute and come into my tent? Abbas gets off the horse, goes into the tent. Zainab says, Abbas, can you put your knees on the ground? Puts her knees on the ground. Zainab puts both of her arms around Abbas and she begins to cry. She says, my father told me that my hijab was going to be taken off. I believed him, but I didn't know how this was going to happen. Abbas, now that you're going, I know my hijab's not safe anymore. Abbas, just give me 1 minute. She turns around. She says, oh women of Banu Hashim, today I can't promise now that your hijab is going to be salim. I'm reciting slowly because I know some of you can't take it. If I knew you could take it, I would recite all of the Masa'ib of Abbas. Abbas gets on a horse and he begins to ride. You know the tradition says? Ulama asked, what was it that Imam Hussein took away from Abbas? 6th Imam replies, he said, my Ammu Abbas had Nafathul Basira. When he looked at somebody, he could kill them. Imam Hussein took the power away. Abbas begins to ride. They say that slowly he comes to the Furat. He gets off his horse. He says to his horse, drink. The horse turns his face away. When he looked into his eyes, the horse had tears in his eyes. Abbas grabs the water. Abbas gets on the horse. Abbas now begins to ride. All Abbas wants is to bring this water back to Sakina. My heart can't recite anymore, but I'm going to take you back to the tents. A small girl was sitting there. All the other children were gathered there. She was saying, my Ammu Abbas is coming. My Ammu Abbas is coming. She was watching the flag. She says, look at the flag. The flag is coming. The flag slowly begins to move forward. As the flag moves forward, All of a sudden, the flag falls to the right-hand side. Sakina grabs the water containers, chucks it on the floor. Small hands lifts up. She says one thing, children, you say Ameen. I'm going to pray. She says, Allah, I don't want water anymore. Just bring back my uncle Abbas. Flag comes up again. Sakina says, Alhamdulillah. Flag again goes to the left side. As it begins to go to the left side, Sakina turns her face away. All of a sudden, the tradition says something. What does the tradition say? It says when Abbas was riding, as he was riding, he had the water container in his mouth. One man came, chopped off his right hand. He moved to left hand. Left arm went. Abbas was holding the water container in his mouth. And as he was going, Hurmala said to Mukhtar, I took the arrow. When I fired the arrow, just before I fired, I saw Abbas look at the skies. You know, when a man does dua, he lifts his arms up. Abbas didn't have any hands to lift. He lifted his head up to the skies. He said, Allah, make sure this water gets back. A voice comes, Abbas, we've not accepted your dua. Abbas looks up and says, Mawla, Allah, if you haven't accepted my dua, then I have another dua. Voice comes, Abbas, we've made you Bab al-Hawaj. For anyone who comes to your door, your Bab al-Hawaj, you can answer them. So then he says, Allah, make sure my body never gets back because I feel haya from Sakina. When he fell on the ground, when the arrow was in his eye, Abbas fell and he gives his final salam. He says, Mawla, accept my final salam. Gharib Hussein, Madloom Hussein, holding his back, begins to walk onto the maqtal. Hussein trips, he falls onto the ground, then he lifts himself up again, he trips again, he walks towards again. When he gets there, Abbas had blood in one eye and an arrow in the other eye. Abbas just says one thing, oh person who's coming, kill me later, but give me some minutes. My Mawla is coming. And my mother said to me that when I was born, I did ziyarah of my Mawla. Now that I'm dying, I want to do ziyarah of my Mawla. Imam Hussein comes forward. He says, Abbas, I'm Hussein. He says, I'm Hussein. Imam Hussein puts both of his knees on the ground of Karbala. Abbas just says one thing. It was very painful. You know what Abbas says? He says, Mawla, my mother said to me that when I was born, I did your ziyarah. Mawla, I wouldn't have given you the zahma at all. But there's blood in my eye. I can't see you properly. Do you mind removing the blood from my eyes? I don't have any arms to remove it, otherwise I would have done it myself. Sayyid al-Shuhada, tears in his eyes, grabs his abba, begins to remove the blood from the eyes of Abul Fadl Abbas. Final story, and that's it. Ayatollah Yahya Yathrabi narrates. He says, one day I was in Karbala, one wise was on the mimbar. He was reciting that an arrow went into the eye of Abbas. He says, I felt so sad, I fell to the ground. When the wise got up, I said to the wise, look at my age, look what you're reciting. How do you know the arrow actually went into the eye of Abbas? Don't recite that again. He said that night when he went to sleep, Yahya Yathrabi says, when I closed my eyes, I saw Abul Fadl Abbas come to me. He said, why did you stop my wise from reciting this? He says, Mawla, just in case the hadith was wrong. He says the hadith wasn't wrong. The arrow did go into my eye. Says the arrow went into my eye. He says, but Yahya Yathrabi, when something goes into a person's eye, it's very painful. Abbas said, the arrow was hurting me in my eye. It was so painful. I didn't have any arms to take it out. So I was moving my body from right to left to remove the arrow from my eyes. I was moving right to left. It was so painful. I wanted to call Hussein, but I knew Hussein was alone and Zainab was there. When I didn't have anyone to help me, I put my head between my knees to pull out the arrow. As I put my head between my knees to pull out the arrow, it was hurting me. It was hurting me. The pain was a lot. When the pain got a lot,
When the pain got a lot, I didn't know what to do. I looked towards Najaf. I said, Father, come and help me, because this arrow is hurting me. Father, come and help me. Matam Hussain. Alam of Abbas is coming.
और अलमदार नाया
علمدار نایا آیا ہے علم اور علمدار نایا آیا ہے علم اور علمدار نایا دریا سے دل حیدر کرار نایا آیا ہے علم اور علمدار نایا آیا ہے علم اور علمدار نایا ظالم نے میرے گالوں پہ مارے تماچے ظالم نے میرے گالوں پہ مارے تماچے لوگوں میرا باس چچا جان آیا آیا ہے علم اور علمدار نایا آیا ہے علم عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں سب پڑھے نام مولا جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تو جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تو نہ سر پہ رہی چادر نہ سر پہ رہی چادر نہ میرا بچا بھائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تو نہ سر پہ رہی چادر نہ سر پہ رہی چادر نہ میرا بچا بھائی عباس کہاں ہو تم چلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم عباس چلے آؤ خیموں میں غریبوں کے بھوکے اور پیاسے ہیں لوٹے ہیں نصیبوں کے سجاد کو ہوش نہیں کلثوم ہے گھبرائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم عباس چلے آؤ خیموں میں غریبوں کے بھوکے اور پیاسے ہیں لوٹے نصیبوں کے سجاد کو ہوش نہیں کلثوم ہے گھبرائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم ہائے شمر کمینے نے معصوم سکینہ کے مارے تماچے بھی ہائے پھول سے گالوں پہ آ جاؤ چچا غازی رو رو کے وہ چلائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم چادر نہ سر پہ رہی چادر نہ میرا بچا بھائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم ہائے شمر کمینے نے معصوم سکینہ کے مارے تماچے بھی آئے پھول سے گالوں پہ آ جاؤ چچا غازی رو رو کے وہ چلائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم شبیر چلا رن میں کئی روز کا پیاسا ہے تیروں سے ہوا چلی مظلوم کا لاشا ہے نہ کفن ملا اس کو نہ قبر بن پائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم شبیر چلا رن میں کئی روز کا پیاسا ہے تیروں سے ہوا چھلنی مظلوم کا لاشا ہے نہ کفن ملا اس کو نہ قبر بن پائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم کلثوم نے سر پیٹا ممتل میں کھڑے ہو کے ہائے کانپتے ہاتھوں سے زینب نے رو رو کے دستار امامت کی سجاد کو پہنائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم سب پڑھے جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے زینب کی صدائی عباس کہاں ہو تم عباس چلے آؤ خیموں میں غریبوں کے بھوکے اور پیاسے ہیں لوٹے ہیں نصیبوں کے سجاد کو ہوش نہیں کلثوم ہے گھبرائی عباس کہاں ہو تم جلتے ہوئے خیموں سے
بیٹا ہے تو علی کا زہرا کی تو دعا ہے شبیر تیرا آقا البنین ماں ہے ہر صورت تو چلن میں حیدر سے نہ جدا ہے تا حشر تجھ سے قائم دنیا میں بس وفا ہے
عباس 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 عباس
تو علی کا زہرا کی تو دعا ہے، شبیر تیرا آقا ام البنین ماں ہے، ہر صورت و چلن میں حیدر سے نہ جدا ہے، تا حشر تجھ سے قائم دنیا میں بس وفا ہے۔
عباس 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 عباس،
تیرے علم کو تھامے ہر شخص کہہ رہا ہے، مظلوم کربلا کا زینب کا واسطہ ہے، پردیس کوئی ایسا پردیس میں نہ اجڑے، صدقے میں اس کے جس کا گھر بار لٹ گیا ہے۔
عباس 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 عباس،
اس وقت جب کہ زینب دربار میں گئی تھی، قاری نمازیوں سے محفل سجی ہوئی تھی، ظالم یہ پوچھتا تھا غازی تیرا کہاں ہے، بالوں سے منہ چھپائے زینب یہ کہہ رہی تھی،
عباس 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 عباس،
شام غریبہ میں جسے کا کرتا جل گیا ہے، کانوں سے بالیاں بھی خیش مرے لے گیا ہے، اس بے کسی سے مولا بچی کوئی نہ تڑپے، فرش ہزا پہ رو کر ہر دل یہ کہہ رہا
ہے عباس 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 عباس،
عباس تجھ سے کتنی مانوس تھی سکینہ، بابا کے بعد تیرے پرچم کو مانا سینہ، معصوم وہ کالی تو تجھ سے بچڑ کے غازی، بس کہتی مر گئی ہے زندان میں حزینہ،
عباس 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 عباس،
میرے غازی کہاں ہو، میرے غازی کہاں ہو، تیری جاگیر سے چل پڑا قافلہ، میرے غازی کہاں ہو، میرے غازی کہاں ہو، اے میرے با وفا ہے بہن بیردا، میرے غازی کہاں ہو، تیری جاگیر سے
چل پڑا
قافلہ، میرے
غازی کہاں ہو،
تجھ کو دیکھے بنا چین آتا نہیں، نوک نیزہ پہ سر تیرا ملتا نہیں، میں زیارت کروں کس طرح یہ بتا، میرے غازی کہاں ہو، تیری جاگیر سے چل پڑا قافلہ، میرے
غازی غازی کہاں ہو.
لاج رکھ لو بہن کی برادر میرے, خاک مقتل میرے سر کا پیدا بنے, حکم دے دو ذرا منتظر ہے ہوا, میرے غازی کہاں ہو, تیری جاگیر سے
چل رہا
قافلہ, میرے غازی کہاں ہو, تیرے بازو مجھے راستے میں ملے, میں نے چادر سمجھ کر وہ سر پر رکھے, بازوؤں سے تیرا پوچھتی ہوں پتا, میرے غازی کہاں ہو, تیری جاگیر سے چل پڑا قافلہ, میرے غازی کہاں ہو. دیکھ کر بہن کو دشت میں ننگے سے, کیا حیا گئی, چھپ گئے ہو کدھر, خود چلی آونگی تم بتا دو ذرا, میرے غازی کہاں ہو, میرے
السلام علیکہ یا ابا عبداللہ, السلام علیکہ یا ابن رسول اللہ, السلام علیکہ یا ابن امیر المومنین و ابن سید الوسیین, السلام علیکہ یا ابن فاطمۃ الزہرا سیدۃ نساء العالمین, السلام علیکہ معک جمیعا ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ, السلام علیکہ یا غریب الغرباء, السلام علیکہ یا معین الضعفاء والفقراء, السلام علیکہ یا شمس الشموس, السلام علیکہ یا انیس النفوس, السلام علیکہ یا ایھا الرضا رازق القدر والقضاء, السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ, السلام علیکہ یا صاحب العصر والزمان, السلام علیکہ یا خلیفۃ الرحمن, السلام علیکہ یا امام الانس والجان, السلام علیکہ مظہر ایمان, السلام علیکہ یا شریک القرآن, اجل اللہ تعالی فرجک وصال اللہ مخرجک وظہورک, السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ.